Hey Chams, how are you all? I know that I made you wait a lot for this thing, but finally we are back with our episode 2 of The Saviors. So, just before beginning, let's do a quick recap of episode 1. As we all know that in episode 1, Argus, the king of Darkstorm, suddenly attacked Pearl Melody, and the people were so frightened on Pearl Melody. They know that death is so near to them. The king and the queen had to suddenly make a decision and send their children to the universe, actually in the universe, to stray. They didn't know that where we will go, what will happen after that, but they still sent them into the universe, hoping that they will return someday, hoping that they will save them someday. Okay, now let's start episode 2 from that part. Leomord and Freya were roaming around the universe. It had been 10 years and this UFO was completely running. Of course, they didn't felt hungry at that point because the UFO had enough stocked food to feed them for few days. Actually, not few days, few years. And after that time had passed, the plasma in the UFO finally ended, and they crashed on a planet that was very unfamiliar to them. But that planet is very familiar to us, and we call it as Earth. They landed on our planet, that is Earth. So when they reached on Earth, it was very unusual for them. They didn't knew their people. They didn't knew that what they ate, how they talked. They didn't knew anything them. And after 10 years, when finally the plasma of the UFO ended, they landed on a planet that was very unfamiliar to them. It was very unusual to them at first. They were so frightened. They were depressed. They were sad. They had a fear of losing someone. They had seen their place ruining in front of their eyes. So at this point, they were extremely afraid. When they landed on this planet, they just got out of the spaceship. They roamed around the earth for so many times. They didn't knew the people of there. They didn't know what they ate or how they talk. They were extremely afraid and they didn't know how to communicate with people or how to get the help. At this point, they struck with a guy named Freddy. Freddy at first got afraid of seeing them because they didn't usually look like the people of planet Earth. Their dressing was so unrealistic. They were just overburdened with jewelry and everything about that. At that point, Freddy was so scared, but still he saw something in their eyes. Those eyes were lonely. Those eyes were feeling the pain of being alone that Freddy has already suffered. At that point, Freddy felt so bad for them. He asked him for help, but they couldn't understand that what was he saying. Then Freddy just holded their hands and took them to a shopping mall to get them some dresses. He got them dresses, he got them food, and finally they were feeling so happy at that point. They were feeling relaxed, and finally they had someone who could understand them. When Leomord and Freya started talking, they suddenly just realized that they were able to understand the language of Freddy. They also didn't know that what was happening to them and how could they understand their language, but still, it felt like a blessing to them. After that all, Freddy took them to his home. Actually, not home, it was just a house. Freddy lived alone there because he was an orphan with no parents, with no family. He knew the true meaning of loneliness. He took them to his home, get them food, and at that point they rested there. And that rest became too long, and 1 year had passed till now. They had got admission in the same school as Freddy, and now they had become frank with Freddy. They had become very good friends. And here their life was again trying to take a very painful track. Hilda, who was very special girl of Argus, got to know about their presence and recognized them. It was very shockful and she tried to kidnap them. She had made a plan, and when she was about to kidnap them and when he touched Leomord, she just got repelled. She was so shocked and she didn't know that what just happened. Why she got repelled. Okay, this thing was not just shocking for Hilda but also for Leomord and Freya. And for Fredden also because they didn't know that they had some special powers. At that point, Hilda just ran away from there. She directly went to the Argus and told him that I just met Leomord and Freya. I think that they have immense powers. They just repelled me. And she said that these powers are just to Leomord, and we don't know that how much power that girl Freya has. At that point, Freddy was also in shock because his very close friends had such unusual powers. But this thing didn't shock Argus even a little bit. He just laughed out loud and said that I will deal with this thing. And at that, our episode ends.